Hi, welcome back to Art by Brooke. This video is another art journal flip through video, and the journal that I'm going through today is my third art journal, which is this book. It's actually a composition notebook, and the reason that I used this instead of using a different kind of sketchbook is that I was teaching an art journaling class and I wanted to use supplies that were really accessible for everyone. So I chose a composition notebook and kind of worked in this along with the kids and showed them all the things you can do with inexpensive materials. Another interesting thing about this journal is that it actually was a composition notebook that my little sister used when she was really little, just to scribble in and pretend like she was doing homework. And she actually gave it to me to use as kind of like a recycled or upcycled notebook. So you'll see that in the pages as we go through. There's some pages peeking through some of my collage that show off some of the things she wrote when she was little as well. So it's kind of special for a lot of different reasons. So let's go ahead and get into the notebook. So here it is. This art journal goes from March 1st, 2011 through August 27th, 2011. And it's interesting because the binding actually has fallen off, but all of the pages have stayed together, so I just carry it around that way. So I love this quote. It is, "Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius, and it is better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring." Marilyn Monroe. This is one of my favorite colors of paint. I think it's called Red Violet. I think that's what it is, and I can't remember which one it is, but it's one of the craft paints. So in the beginning of my books, I like to put my contact information in case people find my journal and then want to get it back to me. So I actually really love drawing dresses and hair and things like that, but I'm not as comfortable with faces, or at least I definitely wasn't back then. I still don't really enjoy it very much because I don't feel like I can get it looking the way I want it to. So you'll see a lot of girls in my journal with no faces, which is a little bit creepy, but also I think that it can also work with fashion. I remember following a tutorial for this, and for this, this actually came about really interestingly. I had glued down a picture, I believe from a magazine. I covered it in gesso, and then I was trying to paint the face in, and I just hated it. So I tried to rip the whole thing out while it was still wet, and only this part came off, and I actually ended up really liking that effect, and this quote just fits it perfectly. So the quote is, "He who trims himself to suit everyone will soon whittle himself away." Raymond Hull. These are just clip outs from a magazine. Same with over here. All of these are acrylic backgrounds, usually craft acrylic, and sometimes I did gesso, especially in areas that you can't see the lines as well. I was really proud with how this turned out. So I did dark purple, and then I did some red over it, maybe with a paintbrush, maybe with a credit card, and then cut something out from a magazine and just did kind of a dry brush over top with some white, and I really like how it looked. I also really loved these pages. I love Edgar Allan Poe, so this is "Never to suffer would never to have been blessed." And over here, "Every artist dips his brush into his own soul and paints his own nature into his pictures." Henry Ward Beecher. And these were just pieces cut out from scrap paper that I glued in. Someone in one of my art classes drew me this, so I put it into my journal. This is a photograph of me that I glued in and added paint over top. It's kind of a fun effect. I was really excited about this one as well. I think it was a photo I found online and then glued it in and painted around it, which gives kind of a cool vignette. I think this was a page I collaborated with the class I was teaching as well. Some more pictures. These are pictures I took. Actually, I guess I didn't take that one. That's me playing bass. And I took this picture of someone in a band playing bass. And this, I just printed out the same picture 4 times and then used different colors, kind of in a pop art style. Let's see if I can get this to focus. It's a little bit blown out color-wise. There we go. So this is obviously a Pink Floyd quote. All in all, you're just another brick in the wall. That one was kind of fun to draw. Drew a bunch of bricks and then journaled inside. Big Brother is Watching You. 1984 is one of my favorite books and has been throughout, I mean, a lot of my life. These were really fun. I believe this was gesso, and then I used watercolor and rubbing alcohol to make the cool splotchiness, and I think I put some acrylic paint over top. And I believe I did some journaling in the background as well. This is similar effects, so again doing watercolor and then spraying or dripping on alcohol. Now I'm going to try to focus this because it's definitely blown out. Let's see. There we go. That's a lot better. I love this quote. This is actually really interesting because I had ripped out something that was on the back. I don't even remember what it is now. And it flipped over on my table or something like that, and I saw this, and there was this incredible thought, oh, I left the art on. That was awesome. So I decided to use that instead of what I had originally intended on using. Just kind of doodles over here. I think I was trying out a certain artist's style. It's a combination of like 4 different images. Kind of creepy because of the big head. Some magazine cutouts. These are little flowers from a lei necklace and a little sketch I did. These are quotes from 2 different songs that have meant a lot to me at different times. And I collaged in the back here, I believe that's pages from a Bible. So the interesting thing about this journal is I actually used it to take a lot of things off of my walls that, I mean, for a while I was taping things up to all of my walls, just anything that inspired me or anything I was thinking about, and so it was everywhere. And I wanted to start taking those things down, and I used this journal as a way to put some of those things somewhere that I would be able to look back on. So that's what some of these things are. So that's what some of these things are. This page, I actually cut out the hole, and here I wrote Katniss Everdeen, and so the face is supposed to be from like the Hunger Games, and then when you flip the page, the image changes, and I think this is supposed to be Tally Youngblood, which is from I believe the Ugly series. So it's kind of like a play on, like, you know, it's one girl and then another from similar series, I guess. Kind of both dystopian futuristic books that I really enjoyed. This was hard modeling paste, I believe, and I never did anything over top of it. I just liked the texture. Over here, I really like this page. I think I did gesso really, really thick, so there's actually like texture in here you can kind of see. And I hand stitched the edge of this page, which feels really, really neat. You can feel the thread. Over here, this silver is spray paint, and I believe I spray painted through some stencils I had just gotten. These pages, I believe, were kind of just doodling with one of my friends. We were in the car driving around, and yeah, that was fun. This is really interesting. These are pictures from my graduation. These are pretty cool. I really liked these pages. This one's interesting. I think that I accidentally started writing in lowercase after I had started in all capitals. And so then I just kind of alternated it to make it look like it was intentional. So you can do that with your art. Just make it look like you meant to do it. Over here, these pictures represented something to me at the time. This was cool. I just cut out from scrap paper a skirt so that it would be kind of a cool texture on top of the picture. This was obviously on the 4th of July. It's kind of fun when I can actually art journal on a holiday. I don't really like these pages very much, but I think that I was working on them at a location where I didn't have my usual supplies and just kind of was in a weird place. So I was just trying some different techniques, which is one of the reasons why I love art journaling so much, is it allows me to try different techniques and try things that I wouldn't normally, because I can always just close the book. So again, these are some pages where I am putting things in here that I've collected over the years, things that I thought were interesting. So these are letters from my sister to me, and I just thought they were really cute and I didn't want to throw them out, so I decided to keep them in here. The date on the page isn't necessarily correlated to the date in the notes, but if it wasn't dated, I just went with the day that I made the page. This I found in a parking lot, and I just really liked the bold numbers. Oops, I missed a page. A note from my grandma. Something I was trying where I was doing like little cross-stitch effects for a picture. So this is actually just something I had doodled and written down and saved somewhere, maybe in my desk, and just never used for anything. So I just glued it right in here, and I actually really like it. So it says, "We spend our whole lives searching for something. What if it's right before our eyes?" And I have always been obsessed with drawing eyes, so I have hundreds of drawings like this. Here's another little note from my sister. I glued it in so I could write that down. A note from my mom. And I didn't really know what to do with this picture. I actually had this photo cut out from a magazine for a long time because I really liked just the shape of her face and the colors, and I knew I wanted to use it somewhere, so I just ended up pairing it with a simple quote and kind of leaving it at that. It's a little self-explanatory. These are some more things that I had just kept for a while and had not done anything with and didn't plan to do anything with. These were little symbols that I think I was in middle school. People that were in the church that I went to, everybody had their name printed on a shape, and then you were supposed to take some home and kind of think about that person throughout the week and pray for them or maybe talk to them. And it just kind of created a way to add to the community feel. Some more little things that I just had written down or drawn or doodled at different times. So this one says, "I choose a different path and I still love you. Let's get along." This is one of my favorite poems. "Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glint on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain." I actually had that memorized for a little while. I don't think I still have it. This page was in memory of a friend that we lost. The song "Seasons of Love" from Rent was played at the funeral, and it was a really, really hard time. So I just wanted to commemorate her and her life and kind of that memory. This is interesting to see a quote from Soren Kierkegaard in here. This quote is, "To dare to lose one's footing momentarily, to not dare is to lose oneself." So I graduated in 2011, so the same year that I worked on this. And then I went into college and didn't really hear about Soren Kierkegaard until my philosophy class. And I really ended up liking a lot of the things that Kierkegaard wrote about and some of his ideas or philosophies. So it's interesting that I had a quote from him before I even really knew who he was. So some more doodles and notes, little doodle drawing with, I think, gel pen. This is a quote that I believe just the bottom part really stuck in my head. To be great is to be misunderstood. But the quote itself is very interesting. So it goes, "A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradicts everything you said today. Ah, so you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is it so bad, then, to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure and wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood." So from that quote, the last part really just resonates with me, and I wanted to have it in here. So these are some more just, I think, random things that I had in my desk that I used on the page. This was a journal entry from 2003 that I believe it may have been the only page in the journal at the time, so I just took it out and decided to put it in here so I could use the journal for something else. This was a card I got and I really liked the look of. So this was a drawing that I did, but I did it while looking at someone else's drawing, so the idea isn't necessarily mine. This is one of my favorite ways to journal, and this one is mirror written, so it's backwards. You basically draw out a rectangle of whatever space you want to fill with words, and then you draw kind of squiggly lines, and then you write within that. So you make the letters as tall or as short as the space allows, and it makes a really, really cool kind of movement feel to your words. I did it on this side too, it's a little harder to see. So this is a photo that I took of my little sister when she was quite a bit younger, and found some words from magazines. I think lists are a really good thing to have in your art journal, and they're a really good snapshot of who you were at the time. I was really proud of this page, kind of the simplicity of it. This is a photo I took at, I believe it was Kalahari Water Park. And this was from a magazine, and then just a blank piece of paper. And the background is kind of hard to see, but it was a paper towel that I glued down, so it was nice and textured. Some more magazine cutouts. I like this quote, "Play is the highest form of research," and that's Albert Einstein. I really like both of these pages. I think they came out in a way that I enjoyed. So this one, I really like, just like the quote, "You have to walk carefully in the beginning of love. The running across fields into your lover's arms can only come later, when you're sure they won't laugh if you trip." Jonathan Carroll. And this was inspired by a family I was babysitting at the time. And these are all just things that I learned kind of from babysitting over the years. So this page was to test out my new gel pens. So they were the Jelly Roll gel pens that are made to write on dark backgrounds, and I really loved them, and I was actually really proud of how this drawing came out. I believe I was looking at another drawing when I did it. So I don't often do full pages, but at the time I had really wanted to get more into them. So this was just me trying something out and trying out some of my new gel pens too. I believe it was Sharpie, and then the pink is the gel pen. Here's another interesting way to get words on your page. Draw a spiral and then just write in that shape. I think this page was interesting. I don't really know what was going on in my life at the time, but the quote that I came up with for this was, "When she realized what was going on, she took a step back in horror." Oops. So this is where you start to see some of my paper dolls. This is something I really want to get back into, and I did it for quite a while in some of my old journals. And these dolls are from a book called Collage Couture, and that's by Julie Nutting. So this is the page I was talking about at the beginning, where you can see the scribbles in the background and you can see the writing here. So this was all on the page before I added blue. And so that's what my sister wrote in this journal before she gave it to me. And when I painted the blue over it, I realized you could see through it, and I loved seeing her handwriting. So I followed exactly how she wrote it with one of my gel pens so it would stand out, and then I just glued down some strips of paper. Here's another doll I did. I layered strips of scrap paper. I don't really like these lines. I don't think that works at all with the way the picture was coming out, but I didn't really know how to join the two sides properly. But I love how her hair came out. Another way to add words to your page, and another doll, and then I also just doodled in here anything that came to mind. I think I carried this around with me for a while and just doodled. Again, scrap paper for the dress. Here are some that I was really proud of. I used kind of a lace doily to make this wedding dress, and then had a little bit left to make a little hat. So this is from a book that I have called Drawing Lab by Carla Sondheim, and it's for mixed media artists, and it has 52 creative exercises to make drawing fun. So one of the exercises was to just keep drawing the same thing over and over again as quickly as you could. And then another one is kind of like a Picasso prompt, where you start on one side of the page, you draw something, and then it has you turn it and draw something else, and you get kind of this weird, bumpy looking face. I think that she has you do it for people, but I did it for, it looks like a cat. So getting into this, the back of this journal, a lot of these pages were while I was traveling with my dad. So there's not as much. I believe I painted them ahead of time and then just kind of took a glue stick and pen with me. And I was just journaling as we were going different places. This was left in our hotel room. It was just the top of the pad, and I noticed that you could see the indentation from what the person had written before. So I actually used pencil and did the thing that they do in spy movies and figured out what had been written. So I kind of followed the lines with a gel pen that I had. And this is my last page. So again, memories from the trip with my dad, and the back that says "A new book, a new beginning." And again, the binding is off, so you can kind of see it like that. The back of the book looks similar to the front. How I got that texture was actually using gesso and then using a credit card to scrape, I think, this same color over the top. And then I used a stencil and spray paint for that. And that's my third art journal. So hopefully you enjoyed taking a look through my third art journal, and I really appreciate you watching. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and click the bell so you get notifications every time I post a new video. I plan to do a lot more of these. I have 13, I believe, art journals. Maybe I'm on my 13th right now, and so I have a lot of catching up to do. So please like and comment down below if you want to talk any more about any of my pages. If you have a favorite page, I would love to hear about that. Or if there's a page that you would like some clarification on. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.